transform your health with the power of light. Introducing the future of natural healing. Are you seeking a natural, effective way to enhance your well-being, reduce pain, and accelerate healing? If you're looking for quick fixes or ignoring the importance of natural health solutions, this might not be for you. Backed by years of research and testimonials from health professionals, our quantum energy infrared light harnesses the scientifically proven benefits of red and infrared light therapy. Designed for those who value holistic health practices, our device offers a non-invasive, drug-free method to support your body's natural healing processes. Visit QEstrong.com now to discover how quantum energy can revolutionize your health routine. Experience deeper sleep, enhanced muscle recovery, reduced inflammation, and improved skin health, all with just a few minutes of use each day. Don't miss out on the healing power of quantum energy. Visit QEstrong.com and learn more to take the first step toward the healthier you. Join the thousands who have already discovered the life-changing benefits of quantum energy. It's time to prioritize your health and well-being. Unlock the healing power of light. To get your quantum energy infrared light today, your journey to optimal health begins with a single click.
Welcome, it's Rick B2T. We're back here to actually empower Christian patriot truth for a few hours, actually. Where the first hour is going to be, it was going to be SGAnon live. He is in the ER. Let's lift up a prayer for him and his son. I just got a text, not sure how long ago that text came through. Let's see, it came, oh man, it came at 4:19. I wish I saw it earlier. I would have had a different title here, but we were going to talk about the pipe bomb suspect that's arrested. We're going to talk about Trump on Tina Peters and much more into the Venezuelan stealing of elections in 72 countries, including the United States, and how Trump is surrounded by a cabal of ugly people. And that is, the good news is that is being outed now. So, Ratcliffe and the CIA, no, Todd Blanche and the DOJ. These are two of the biggest blocks that Trump has, total traitors in his camp. So we're going to be talking a little bit more about that as we dig in here. I did want to get in a little bit just for Christmas real quick before we move on to the whole show, guys, and that is that if you are looking for a unique gift, these red light therapy wands are really awesome. I use them for when I hurt my elbow and the shoulder. And so to put red light with 3 different frequencies on that area works extremely well. It's so portable. It comes in a really nice case. And so if you get, actually if you buy more than one, the price goes way down. And we're doing a sale when you get multiples, as well as 25% off in addition to that. So these are awesome. You also get free pain, some pain patches, as well as a whole articles, a little booklet on how this all works. Shows you exactly how to use this. It's pretty easy. Just put it on the spot for 3 to 5 minutes, 2 to 3 times a day. It really shows it's massively simple, but very powerful. And if you get 4 of these, it drops down all the way to $74. You use the 25% B2T code, the B2T code at checkout, brings it all the way down to $55. So you can get like 4 of them. I like 1 or 2 of them for myself. Right? I like to have more than one because sometimes you misplace one or whatever. So get a couple for yourself, couple for Christmas presents. I think you'll really enjoy it. Go to QEstrong.com. That's quantum energy, QEstrong.com. There's a link down below in this video too. QEstrong.com, and use the B2T code at checkout to get 25% off. That's almost always, that's the largest we ever had for the B2T code. It's usually at 15%. So again, 25% for you to get your Christmas shopping done. All right, let's dig in. Election integrity push. DOJ on track to compel voter roll cleanups in over half of the U.S. states. Obviously, these are most of the red states. So the blue states, it's really not going to help that much, but at least they're really pushing to make this happen. So the Justice Department is on the track to compel more than half the states in America to clean up their voter rolls, and believes sloppiness that left dead people on non-citizens in a position to vote in Democrat-run states is intentional, a top prosecutor told Just the News. Although I read this wrong earlier. So it is focused on the blue states. The sloppiness of elections in blue states is no accident. It's on purpose. Is a feature, not a bug. Assistant Attorney General for Civil Rights, Dylan told Just the News. No Noise television shows on Wednesday night, and the goal is to cram as many people on there, as many voters who are not particularly engaged, make it easy for someone else to help them fill out their ballot and return it for them when they didn't care enough to do it themselves. And so this is just talking about the non-selection machines, right? That's what the selection machines need to have a voter roll tied to it so it can pass an audit. That's how they're passing audits. They change the votes all around, get the voter, but then they assign votes to voters that didn't even show up, right? That's very common. What we can do to the federal government level is ensure that our federal election laws are observed, and that includes each state's requirements to keep clean voter rolls. That is a fundamental basic. Dylan spoke one day after her division filed lawsuits against 6 Democratic-run states. It's Maryland, Delaware, Rhode Island, New Mexico, Washington, and the state of Vermont, seeking to compel them to turn over to the DOJ their voter rolls to be inspected for abnormalities. And they're pushing back, obviously. So this is really going to be real interesting how this all comes out. But guys, we have to start all over. We're going to have to kill all the voter rolls. We're so corrupt. We're going to have to start from the beginning. I believe when we go to military tribunals and military elections, I hope this all happens before November. And that's where 107 thinks we're going to be going. Many others talking about this type of thing. We'll have SGAnon back on. I apologize that I'm just going to read the text I got from him, that we can say a quick prayer. SG is at the ER with his son who fell into a door frame and split his lip. Unfortunately, he won't be able to make the show. Obviously, this happened about an hour ago. So, Lord, we just lift up SGAnon's son and just pray for blessings on his healing. And, Lord, that you just use SGAnon's voice and amplify it like never before. We say these in the name of Jesus. Amen. So that's kind of what's going on there. But we have a lot of news to cover. So it was going to be fun to go over that with SGAnon, but we'll do that next week or something. Great. Our elections are cooked and rigged. The voters know it. Must bring integrity back to voting. Start with voter ID. And look at this is Trump actually retweeting this. So this whole point about election integrity that I was just reading that he reposted that article, and start with voter ID. He's really focused on that. He's also talking about paper ballots all the time too, because that'll be because of the evidence that came out from the military intelligence of Venezuela that we had in jail for 2 years. Had been in jail for 2 years. And the DOJ, the corrupt DOJ, Todd Blanche and his team, we got to get Todd Blanche out of there, guys. I'm just telling you. He is completely stalled getting Tina Peters out. He's also stalled many things with J6ers that were wanting to do certain things. And he's also stalling right now the whole Venezuelan information that's coming out. So we have got to get rid of him. And it's really scary when you have people like that in power, and Ratcliffe and the CIA as well. Another person that needs to go. I'm sure Trump's going to be taking care of this, but again, this is way bigger than just voter ID. Even though that is a huge thing. That's just 101 in making sure that anybody who votes is actually a citizen and is actually a person and hasn't voted in 4 other places, right? That is just ridiculous, and shows that the only reason you won't want voter ID is you want to cheat. There's no other reason why you don't want voter ID. They'd lie and say it is because of it's voter suppression. Saying that a person that has to go get an ID for everything else in America, right? Going on a plane, even going to a movie for over 18 type thing, you have to show your ID, right? Well, they say no, it's going to suppress it because minorities can't get an ID. That's the most racist thing. The people who say that it's voter suppression are the racist, right? And they're actually not racist. They are racist, but they basically try to use race the minorities for their parties by calling everybody else a racist, right? And then they actually want no voter ID so the selection machines can work correctly, right? So they can cheat in elections. That's the only reason. It's becoming extremely obvious. And now with the virtual machines, the ghost virtual machines, changing votes with the Smartmatic software. Right? We went to Sequoia software, and it was split into all 3 of the platforms, ES&S, Heart, as well as Dominion. They all have this virtual machine made with a chip in China It's assembled in Taiwan. This is very important to understand. And that actually is in the servers in Serbia were changing the votes. And they're actually doing VPNs through Italy and through Germany so that they, would be a hostile country. And when they tried to track that back, there's somebody connecting to some servers in from Italy or from Germany, which are NATO allies, right? But they were in on it. So that we have the deep state in Italy, the deep state in Germany, working with Serbia and the Chinese government, believe it or not, with Venezuelan software, with these machines that use the same chip made in China. It's like, whoa! But that is what's happening. Our elections are cooked and rigged, is what Trump is saying, right? And so he's making this very, very obvious. He goes, "I'm dealing with the poisoning of America," he says this morning. He truthed this out. A lot of people speculate on what does he mean. I'm dealing with the poisoning of America. So this is, I think, can be. I think there's no question that he's dealing with this. My question is, which way is he pointing? Maybe it's all of it, right? Poisoning us with fentanyl and with cocaine and all the drugs that purposely were bringing in by Venezuela is one of them. Obviously, big pharma. We know that's happening with the things that go in your arm that I can't say on YouTube. It's a crazy how they're still censoring all that stuff. And then also just big pharma in general, right, is a huge problem. And so is he talking about that? Is he talking about chemtrails? Is he talking about the fact that our toilet paper has literally poisoning stuff in it? I just learned the other day that Band-Aids, I just posted that the other day on my X account. Like 65% of Band-Aids have chemicals in the Band-Aid that gets into the bloodstream that's cancerous, right? So you have to get, I think it's PRC-free Band-Aids that you have to go search for. Remember, they're trying to make us sick every way they can. Toilet paper, Band-Aids, air, food, obviously, right? We're being poisoned in our food. And so I am dealing with the poisoning of America. Yes, we've been dealing with that for 20 years, and Trump is now trying to expose it all through RFK and with the food and the whole industry of the big pharma. And then you also obviously have what Venezuela is purposely doing with Hezbollah from Iran. This is all our enemies have now been outed in a huge way, right? So this is beyond so they've really had kind of two major angles of controlling us and destroying America. One is Venezuela through the drugs and through the selection machines. And number two is through Epstein and all the bribery and controlling all the politicians that way. So they control the politicians. If they're not controlled by Epstein, they control them by big pharma or bought off by Venezuelan massive money that they have. It is a crazy time, but a glorious time to actually be seeing it all be exposed. Ilhan Omar pressed to explain how fraud in Minnesota got so out of control. So it's pretty funny because she's just going to have to walk around. Well, it's because you. That's why. She's a fraudulent person. She married her brother. She has immigration fraud, and Trump is all over this. Yesterday, he posted a tweet that actually outed her for all the different types of fraud she had. Here she is talking to CNN.
Can you shed any light on why the fraud got so out of control in Minnesota?
I think what happened is that, when you have these kind of new programs that are designed to help people, you're oftentimes relying on third parties to be able to facilitate. And I just think that a lot of the COVID programs that were set up, they were set up so quickly that a lot of the guardrails did not get created.
There she goes. It's like, because it's all the kickbacks that were happening, right? All the fraud has been crazy that they're coming back out of Minnesota. Latest from Biden's Afghan pipeline, third ISIS-K suspect netted in Virginia. So we're just seeing that Biden let everybody in. We have ISIS, we have Al-Qaeda, we have the Venezuelan gangs of Tren de Agua and many others. We have gang after gang and sleeper cell after sleeper cell all in our territory. So getting the illegals out, especially ones that have criminal records, as soon as possible, has been a big focus of Trump, and now it's even bigger as he's starting to see, oh my goodness, I got to really focus on Trans de Agua and their infiltration into us. And then another big, huge bombshell came out. I'll talk about in a second, where Russia actually tapped into the cables that go into Venezuela. So they've been for the last since 2015, for the last 10 years, has pretty much had all our intelligence. So this is all coming. That Venezuela is a huge problem, Schumer unveils Democratic Obamacare fix plan like dead in the water. So Schumer unveils Democrats' plan to prevent Obamacare subsidies from expiring ahead of vote. Again, this Obamacare is part of the destruction of America, because you've got to get people addicted to the government, and the government becomes their God. You replace God with the government, right? And that's why you want to have socialized everything. You want to have health care that's socialized. And by the way, my own mom passed away because of socialized medicine, right? She retired with my dad down in Mexico. It was a horrible situation, because what happened is they qualified after 7 years of being down there for free health care. Woo! IMS or something like that was called. And I had to fly down there multiple times, and it was like going into the hospital, and I didn't speak Spanish, which was another. I was using Google Translate the best I could. This was 7 years ago or so, and we couldn't even. They had a broken X-ray machines. If she just was treated normal, if she would let me fly her back to the United States, we may have been able to save her. But with our medical cartel, who knows? But bottom line is that the socialized care is rationed care. Remember that socialized care is rationed care. So it takes forever to get things done and forever to get things approved. So if you want rationed health care, that's what you get with socialized health care, right? So versus having good assurance and less administrators, we got a lot to clean up to bring our healthcare system and get our life expectancy actually going up versus down. That would be kind of nice, wouldn't it? Yes, it would. So here's Schumer trying to do this, and they now have a plan to extend expiring Obamacare subsidies. And it's unlikely that Senate Republicans will give it the green light. I'm announcing that the Senate Democrats will introduce legislation for a clean 3-year extension of the current Obamacare tax credits, Schumer said in the Senate floor. This is a clean 3-year extension of tax credits that Democrats will bring to the floor of the Senate for a vote on Thursday, and every Democrat will support it. See what they do? They just bribe out. They just do everything in a block, right? And they want to bring socialized care, and that's what Obamacare really brought us 75% of the way there. That's why I believe they actually killed Scalia to get that through. He was totally against Obamacare, right? And as we know, anybody that's done any research knows that was most likely, and I think we'll find out eventually that was a murder to get their replacement on the Supreme Court with a plan. Didn't work out for them, but they ended up getting, through bribery, I believe, of our Chief Justice, they got Obamacare through as he totally caved on the conservatives. And instead of if you like your plan, you'll keep it. It's tripled the cost of healthcare costs. It's crazy now how much our deductibles are, and how most people that have it that our entrepreneurs have to buy their own insurance. It's tripled the cost. It's crazy what insurance is right now. I'm using Share Healthcare. You know that I've talked about that in the show before, where it's a Christian sharing program. So I can use natural cures versus being forced. All insurance is all medical cartel. They make you only use the big pharma products and the big pharma approach to everything. Natural solutions really aren't allowed. Here's Laura Loomer. Guys, Tucker Carlson's compromised. I'm sorry. Everything he's done so far is against Israel and for Muslims, right? And it is very obvious now. And now we found videos of his major funding coming from Qatar, which funds Muslim Brotherhood. Here's Laura Loomer talking about just that. Tucker Carlson has just been added to the speakers list for the upcoming Doha Forum in Doha, Qatar this week. Remember, Qatar is QATAR. They're the ones that are They had all the Hamas terrorist leaders there. They fund massive amounts of our universities. The whole Palestinian protests were coming from money from Qatar. This comes as many people have noticed Tucker Carlson has been promoting Islam extensively and has been downplaying the threat of Islamic terrorism and mass Islamic immigration in the West. In November, I reported how the CEO of the Tucker Carlson Network, Neil Patel, was also listed as a speaker at the Doha Forum. This is why I call him Tucker Qatarson, with Qatar at the first. Qatarlson. Tucker has denied receiving payments from Qatar, the funder of Hamas and the Muslim Brotherhood. But it's worth noting that the speakers at the Doha Forum are not only paid, but they also have their 5-star accommodations and travel paid for from the government of Qatar, a state sponsor of Islam terrorism. And so there's a guy that from Qatar announcing it. I have a video of it about how he was proud to fund. He's American, I believe, but he funding the Tucker Carlson Network. So obviously his complete reporting changed from being a conservative that loved Israel in general. He was pro-Israel, to somebody who hates Israel and has Israel derangement syndrome completely. He can't talk about Israel without getting red in the face and being angry. And he's bringing people. He brought a Palestinian Catholic on his show when there's thousands of Christians in Israel that he could have interviewed, but he chose to take one that hated Israel. So he found a Christian, a church in Palestine. You think you can survive in Gaza as a Palestinian church if you didn't support Hamas? So he was a Hamas supporter, right? So this what Tucker Carlson's done is just crazy. Absolutely, I just can't believe how quick he's changed on a dime, and bringing on some of the most abhorrent guests that are against our movement. He's dividing our movement just like Candace Owens is. It is. I have a whole article, a blog about it, about this spirit of Haman, the spirit of Amalek. Man of Grace talks about this in quite detail. So be careful your follow is really serious now. All right, I want to get back to this Venezuelan. More news is coming out all the time. And Rasmussen Reports is actually highlighting it too. I love that. They do flashback. How did Hugo Carvajal, and this is the guy who wrote the letter. In fact, I'm going to get into that in just a second. So this Hugo Carvajal Barrios become a federal witness. This guy was the military intelligence for Venezuela. Okay, and so he literally hired the people that took over the selection machines. They're designed to infiltrate all our countries. 72 of them is what it ended up being. But he almost wasn't until Gary Bernstein made public appeal. So Gary is the CIA guy that really became the hero. He brought in Patrick Byrne and his tech team, and they really worked together to uncover something that the deep state has been trying to hide. And they knew exactly how they were stealing elections 5 years ago, and that's why General Flynn was informed about this 5 years ago when they tried to go talk to Trump. But Sidney Powell was informed of this. Many other people were informed of this, including Ratcliffe. But they tried to hide it versus doing it. Here's breaking: former CIA chief urges Trump to say the key 2020 election. So here's him reading. This is Bernstein, this hero CIA guy that wanted to actually do what's right, and so let's listen to what he says and how important it was to keep this military intelligence guy alive.
A legendary former CIA agent is making a public appeal to President Donald Trump in an open letter video, calling on the president to save a potential key witness of the 2020 election fraud. The witness is the former head of Venezuela's intelligence service. Now, this is another important key to the thread I've been putting out on X that explains both the 2020 election and ultimately how the 2024 election was saved. Now, I'm going to play this video in its entirety because it's very, very important, and I think everyone must see it. Here is Mr. Gary Bernstein.
Dear Mr. President, my name is Gary Burnson. I'm a retired CIA Senior Operations Officer and former Chief of Station. I've had the privilege of leading a dedicated team of whistleblowers who have uncovered critical information about the 2020 election fraud, which we've shared with the Department of Justice and the Office of the Director of National Intelligence. Additionally, I provided the first reports on the dangerous Tren de Aragua gang to U.S. law enforcement and have contributed to some of the largest money laundering investigations ever submitted to the U.S. government. A key component of proof of the 2020 election theft is about to be squandered. I'm reaching out because we need your leadership to address an urgent matter to protect our nation's security. The DOJ is about to lose critical testimony from a witness willing to cooperate in investigations of election fraud, espionage, and Tren de Aragua. Instead of seeking this testimony and a trove of supporting documents, the DOJ is putting this witness on trial next week on a decade-old drug trafficking charge.
Now, this is a few months back, but this shows you how our DOJ, including Todd Blanche, are compromised completely, right? Because they were trying to basically take him off the table. And it wasn't, this video that you're seeing right now is what kept that from happening. This goes on for quite some time, so I'm not going to play it all. But he details out, and since we have more detailed information, you don't need to listen to this, because what he says is what he put in a letter yesterday to a journal in Dallas, actually, where I'm from, and he actually told the world and Trump some bombshell information, and that is beautiful thing. Everything with Venezuela and Emirates is this guy's. So basically, people are trying to say that she's wrong. Some of these people, but it's all coming true. And now even Grok, who basically calls everything a conspiracy theory because it's garbage in, garbage out, right? All these AI tools. But as I fed the articles, it now agrees that this is not a conspiracy theory. This is you got a cabal back from detailed information that from 10 years ago that talked about all this type of stuff, and then you now have a firsthand witness from the administration of Venezuela as a military intelligence corroborating everything that Emerald and Patrick Byrne and General Finn has been telling us about the stolen elections. It's all being verified over and over again. And here's this guy saying, it's that bad. Venezuelan military intelligence chief fled Venezuela in 2017 and has been sitting in the U.S. prison for 2 years. He has now voluntarily given a statement that I summarize. Patrick Byrne and his meddling friends were correct about everything. That's exactly right. It's that bad. And so this is his letter, right? And this is worth understanding and reading, because again, this is the head of military intelligence for all of Cuba during the Chavez before Maduro came in, right? And so he was in Spain. We extradited and got arrested. We extradited him through a long process, got him here in the U.S. 2 years ago. He has massive information, but the DOJ and the CIA are trying to keep his information from coming out. That's why they had to go to the press. And so, and it wasn't the mainstream media press, obviously. They would have killed it. He says, "Dear Mr. President and the people of the United States." So this is to you too. This is vital information, guys, for us to understand, because there's even tons of MAGA influencers dissing this stuff, when this is just stuff that can be corroborated in detail. He says, "My name is Hugo Carvajal Barrios. For many years, I was a high-ranking member of the Venezuelan regime. I was a 3-year star general trusted by both Hugo Chavez and Nicolas Maduro, and served as director of military intelligence and deputy in the National Assembly. Today, I sit in American prison because I voluntarily plead guilty to the crimes charged against me, a narco-terrorism conspiracy. I write to atone by telling the truth so that the United States can protect itself from the dangers I witnessed for so many years. I publicly broke the Maduro regime in 2017 and fled my country. So here he is. So this guy, he was a corrupt guy helping do all the drug narco stuff, right? And he actually fled Maduro when they basically starved their whole country. Really scary what they've done there. People were eating all the dogs and the cats, and then they had to go to the rats. It's been really, really scary what they've done to the middle class there and destroyed. You're the part of the regime as wealthy, or you're actually starving. That's why so many of the Uber drivers and stuff have fled the United States as well. I publicly broke the Maduro regime in 2017 and fled my country, knowing that I faced criminal charges in the United States. In doing so, I became their enemy. Knowing the risk, I acted with the strongest conviction to dismantle Maduro's criminal regime and bring freedom to my country. So he just saw what they were doing to the country and how they became satanic. Basically, they did not care about people. They just cared about serving China, serving Russia, serving themselves, and earning trillions of dollars. Some of these people became trillionaires, literally, T with a T. Today, I see the need to address the American people about the reality of what the Venezuelan regime truly is and why President Trump's policies are not only correct, but absolutely necessary to United States national security. So that is the introduction, guys. Isn't that awesome to understand that we have somebody that understands what's going on here? And in his first, he talks about narco-terrorism. This is where he was personally involved. I personally witnessed how Hugo Chavez government became a criminal organization. Now it is run by Nicolas Maduro and this Diosdado Cabello and other senior regime officials. The purpose of this organization, now known as the Cartel de Suns, and they, instead of having 3-star generals, they have now 3 suns on there, like the sun that's up in the sky, right, is to weaponize drugs against the United States. The drugs that reached your cities through new routes were not accidents of corruption, nor just the work of independent traffickers. They were deliberate policies coordinated by the Venezuelan regime against the United States. This plan was suggested by the Cuban regime to Chavez in the mid-2000s. You guys hear this? So we've had the Cuban Missile Crisis and Russia working with Cuba and a communist organization right off our shores in Cuba. And now they're working with Venezuela, and he showed here's how you can actually subvert the United States and destroy the United States. You need to work with our buddies in China. You need to work with Iran. You need to work with Russia, right? And so the plan was suggested by Cuban regime to Chavez in the mid-2000s and has been successfully executed with the help of FARC, F-A-R-K, ELN, Cuban operatives, and Hezbollah. The regime has provided weapons, passports, and impunity for these terrorist organizations to operate freely from Venezuela against the United States. So that was the plan. You got to basically destroy us from within. That's what Chinese do, right? They take a long time. Destroy them without having to fire a shot. And they almost did it. If Trump wasn't there in 2016 and 2024, we would not know any of this stuff. Hillary would have completely hid all this. And the 16-year plan to destroy America, we would be done right now. Right? It was 8 years of Obama, 8 years of Hillary. That was the plan. Now he's talking about Tren de Aragua. Says, I was present when decisions were made to organize and weaponize criminal gangs across Venezuela to protect the regime. Among them was a group known as Tren de Aragua. Chavez ordered the recruitment of criminal leaders inside and outside prisons to defend the revolution in exchange for impunity. And after Chavez died, Maduro expanded this strategy by exporting criminality and chaos abroad to target Venezuelan political exiles and artificially reduce crime statistics within Venezuela. Gang leaders were instructed to send thousands of members out of the country, and this was coordinated through the Ministry of Interior, the Ministry of Prisons, the National Guard, the National Police Forces. Tren de Aragua became the most effective and fastest growing. This is crazy. I mean, this is the military intelligence guy from Venezuela telling us this. When the Biden-Harris open border policy became widely known, they seized the opportunity to send these operatives into the United States. They now have obedient, armed personnel on American soil. To finance their operations, they were explicitly instructed to continue kidnapping, extorting, and killing. Every crime they commit on your soil is an act ordered by the regime. Woo! Now we're going to get the counter part of this. And this is going to the next major slide here. Here it is. We're instructed to send thousands of members. Okay, now we just read this. Every crime they committed on soil was an act by the regime. Okay, now here's the third major part of this. Counterintelligence and espionage against the United States. Number 4 is election fraud. We're getting there, but it's important to understand this. I was present when Russian intelligence came to Caracas. Caracas is the capital of Venezuela, to propose to Hugo Chavez the tapping of submarine internet cables. Submarine, those are the cables that are under the ground, under the ocean. Internet cables that connect most of South America and the Caribbean islands and the United States for the purpose of penetrating United States government communications. They did this, guys. In 2015, I warned Maduro that allowing Russian intelligence to build and run a secret listening post in La Ochila Island would one day invite American bombs. He ignored me. For 20 years, the Venezuelan regime sent spies into your country. Many are still there, some disguised as members of the Venezuelan opposition. So they're acting like they're opposition to Venezuela when they're actually operatives. Cuban intelligence showed me their intelligence inside your naval base on East Coast. They bragged about having sent thousands of spies over decades, some now career politicians. U.S. diplomats and CIA officers, listen to this, guys, were paid to assist Chavez and Maduro in remaining in power. That's U.S. diplomats, our Congress and senators, most likely. So obviously some probably ambassadors. And the CIA officers, they were paid. They're being paid by Maduro in remaining, and they're in power still now. These Americans acted as spies for Cuba and Venezuela, and some remain active to this day. And here's number 4. This is the big one, in my opinion. This is bigger than Watergate by 10,000. This is Smartmatic and your elections. I've been reporting on this for the last 6 years, right? Smartmatic was born as an electoral tool of the Venezuelan regime, but soon derived into a tool to help keep the regime to stay in power forever. I know this because I placed the head of IT, the National Election Council, so this NCE, the National Election Council, the one who used the selection machines to keep him in power, in this position, and he reported directly to me. The Smartmatic system can be altered. This is a fact. This is what people are so stupid. They say, oh, it's not connected to the internet. When you have modems so small, you can't even detect them. It's where the clerks don't even have any idea that they're actually connected to the internet. All of them are, with the Chinese hardware. This technology was later exported abroad, including in the United States. Regime operatives maintain relationships with the election officials and voting machine companies inside your country. So all these people that worked at Dominion, like Eric Coomer, who's suing everybody right now, right? He's suing Joe Altman, a great patriot. He's suing Mike Lindell's a great patriot. He was the one of the head guys at Dominion. He's suing Mike Lindell. He's suing Sidney Powell, I believe. All for defamation, right? And then they really have 3 lawsuits, and then Smartmatic and Dominion, as 2 separate companies, are suing them as well. And it's all going to backfire on them. All this is going to backfire. And these are the election officials and voting machine companies inside the U.S. Are compromised. I do not claim that every election is stolen, but I state with certainty that elections can be rigged with the software and has been used to do so. And he's really pointing to 2020 right there, right? And that is amazing. And then that is number 3. There's one last page here. Let's see if I can get to that. It's right down here. Boom, there it is. People of the United States, make no mistake about the threat posed by allowing a narco-terrorist organization to roam freely in the Caribbean and throughout Latin America doing everything possible to harm the American people, to finance anti-Americanism across the continent, and to facilitate the operations of other terrorist organizations and enemies of the United States within Venezuela and now within your borders. The regime is not merely hostile, it is at war with you, using drugs, gangs, espionage, and even your own democratic processes as weapons, talking about our elections. President Trump's policies against the Maduro regime are not just justified, but necessary and proportional to the threat. He may be even underestimating what the regime is prepared to do to hold on to power. They have contingency plans for every extreme scenario to ensure they never relinquish control. I absolutely support President Trump's policy toward Venezuela because it is self-defense and he is acting based on truth. I remain ready to provide additional details about these matters to the United States government. This is Hugo Carvajal Barrios, United States of America, December 2nd, 2025. Guys, this is bombshell stuff. This is going to change the way we do our 2026 election, I believe, and bring military tribunals on even sooner than what the cabal was hoping. Here's Lindell TV talking about this. It says, breaking news, exclusive, Patrick Burton, letting Maduro walk after this would be treason. And so following the confession from Venezuelan top intel chief, Hugo Carvajal, Emerald Robinson, Patrick Byrne dropped this. The next shoe to drop should be a GBU on the head of Nicolas Maduro. That's the next shoe. It's a big bomb. We have to. And again, he's talking about this 10,000 times worse than Pearl Harbor. Let's listen to this segment.
The next shoe to drop should be a GBU on the head of Nicolas Maduro. That's the next shoe. It's a big bomb. We have to, there's no point in having a military. If a foreign government can do this to us and we let it slide, as we were starting to talk about yesterday, that there's all these people around Trump who even as recently as like a week ago are still trying to convince him, or at least as recently as a few weeks ago, still trying to convince them, look, let's bury the hatchet with Venezuela. They've offered us, mineral rights and then this and that. They'll give us all of them. Let's just let this slide. That's insane to me. I can't. Anyone who would say something like that, given what we've learned, you have to assume that's enemy action. That is so absurd to me. If we can let a country get away with doing this to the United States and getting this close to overthrowing us, this is 10,000 times worse than Pearl Harbor in 1941. Of course, the U.S. has to respond to this and take care of business. And we got to do it right away. There's no reason to stall. They're stalling. All of this stalling that's going on is hurting the president because the bad guys are having time. They've got forces all within the government, within the CIA, within the FBI, within lobbyists. They lobby through. So they are having weeks go by where they're getting all of their they're paid protesters, everything. They're getting all of it to get back pressure against the president. Time is not his friend. Time is not his friend. And all these people stalling him are to be suspect.
Yeah, I'm going to answer a question here. So I'm getting some questions on the board. Some people think Candace is a hero for asking questions. Guys, if you really understand and heard her over the last year, she's got massive Israel derangement syndrome, and I agree that the narrative of this one shooter alone is likely not correct, right? But she's blaming everybody but the left wing the left wing crazies that are being used by the deep state, I believe. So this is a deep state operation using a crazy person like that was living with a transgender, all that type of stuff. But she's blamed like 25 different people and throwing Erica and the whole TPUSA under the bus. I have a whole article about, and Amanda Grace confirming with me that I've been talking about the Super Haman. She called it the spirit of Amalek. And we go back and we kind of document that pretty well on a blog at faithandfreedom.org, faith with the N, freedom.org. So you might want to go look at that. That might help see what's kind of what we're thinking here. I'm going to put this up here, but it says, so Becky is basically saying, are you saying your new DOJ is corrupt? And I don't think Pam Bondi is necessarily corrupt. but Todd Blanche, I believe, is. And so he's been the major block of getting Tina Peters. He's a season number 2 and not 2 in line. I'll confirm, you guys correct me if I've got that name wrong, but I think it's Todd Blanche, the second in the line. It's always good. I always like to just go to Grok and say, and confirm when my memory is not perfect here. So I would say, who is the second in line for the DOJ under Pam Bondi, and I think it's Todd Blanche is the guy that everybody's pointing to as Todd Blanche. There it is. Todd Blanche is the second in line for the Department of Justice under Attorney Bondi. If you go back, he's a prior Democrat. He's got one of his major persons working for him's a Democrat, and so I'm just going to say, was he a Democrat? And this is what some of the online research, right? And does he have Democrats working for him? And this is what, again, these are rumors of that I think is probably pretty confirmed. Todd Blanche was previously registered as a Democrat, but has switched to the affiliation of Republican. Prior to representing Donald Trump in a high-profile case in 2023, Blanche was a registered Democrat in New York, where he worked so he's in New York, a blue state, and he's a Democrat, right? And so then I'm back here. Regarding Democrats working under the DOJ, there is no public information confirming or denying that. So it looks like they can't find that. But there was at least one person that was definitely a Democrat underneath him. So this is what we're dealing with. We're dealing with pretty crazy stuff right here. And I just want to point you guys to Emerald Robinson's The Absolute Truth. I think it goes live at noon every Monday through Friday, and she's reporting on this whole in detail. This is a 57-minute show. Just wanted to point you toward that show if you want to go into more detail on this. Here's Patrick Byrne saying in a 2004 cable from the United States Embassy in Venezuela spelled out everything I've been telling you. Our election systems are all Venezuelan junk. And so this is another person talking about this, says, who let a foreign regime into America's voting system? And so this is a diplomatic cable classified by the embassy in Caracas, later released from 2004. So this is crazy, but over 20 years ago, it was telling us Smartmatic is this cable play. So we knew this 20 years ago. That's what's really crazy here. Smartmatic is a Venezuelan-owned. Yet Gus is saying something that General Flynn is saying. Hey, get Sidney Powell in there, fire Pam Bondi, and get Sidney Powell in there if you want to get something done. Problem is, Sidney Powell would never get approved through the Senate. That's the problem. You have to have somebody that they think they have something on, because how they got Robert Kennedy through is just amazing to me. Because he went through, hey, I'm going to attack the food and not the vaccines. That's the only thing I can think of how they did the miracle of getting RFK Jr. in there. But Matt Gaetz, they couldn't get through, as you know. Smartmatic is a Venezuelan-owned, despite public claims of U.S. origin. So they basically they came into to Florida, and then they said they got a loans from certain people, and they did a Delaware LLC, and they hid the fact that the software they were actually using was from Venezuela. They hid that completely. Its ownership structure was deliberately hidden behind shell companies in Netherlands and Barbados. Its rapid rise was fueled by involvement from Chavez's disputed elections. Its machines were widely suspected of being susceptible to fraud. And as soon as the job was done, Smartmatic shifted focus to the United States through its subsidiary Sequoia. So I've talked about that company as well. And so basically this Smartmatic is Venezuelan owned, guys, over 50%. If you go back and look at all the shell companies and penetrate through all that. So we have a foreign-aligned election company financially tied to a hostile regime, embedding itself into American electrical infrastructure right as the U.S. entered a period of radical political transformation. Why? Because they were putting selected people in our school boards and in our city councils and then all the way up to our state elected officials. Then they moved into the federal. Smartmatic's founders moved corporate headquarters to Florida, but most operational control stayed in Caracas. Silent partners included individuals closely tied to the Venezuelan government. Investments came from Chavez-linked funds. Even children of senior regime officials were involved in the registration and corporate handling. We knew this 20 years ago. What I'm reading you is 20 years ago we knew this was happening. But they bought off politicians, bought off the CIA, working with the globalist cabal, which is in cahoots with China, right, to destroy us. And China obviously is funding massive money into Venezuela. Russia is as well. So was Iran. Foreign, and that's why the Hezbollah is there. Hezbollah is there. That's very clear. Foreign developed code was counting American votes. The vulnerabilities were known before Smartmatic was allowed into U.S. elections. Private companies with opaque ownership avoided the rigorous audits that would detect manipulation. This is what election interference looks like. To restore sovereign republic, you must confront every foreign hand that has ever reached into the ballot box, and that's exactly what Trump is doing now. So here's the detail of the cabal if you want to see it. Again, they'll all be in the show notes. So make sure you go to blessed2teach.com, blessed with the number 2teach.com, and sign up for the show notes. Those are free. You'll get them each morning of everything I'm showing you right now. All right. Here's a Carrie Lake actually saying this exact same thing. Letter written to President Trump from a man formerly inside the Maduro regime cartel. This is a stark warning. That's what I just read to you. Right? There's the 4 pages that I just read to you. Massive breaking news. All Americans must grasp the gravity of this moment and what this deposition-like letter below means for the future of the Republic. It is that severe of a warning. This is General Michael Flynn talking about this. We cannot allow China or Russia or major international Islamic terrorist networks to own beachfront property off of our southern border. This is the massive breaking news that General Flynn's talking about. Trump's actions to date has been sound, but given this new information, our POTUS must do some new soul searching with key members of his team, such as Todd Blanche, such as Ratcliffe. This blockbuster op-ed comes from a career spy at the top of the Venezuelan regime, where he served as, because military intelligence are spies, right? They're spying on other countries. So he was. A career spy at the top of the Venezuelan regime, where he served as the former head of military intelligence in the National Assembly for nearly a decade. General Hugo Carvajal Harbarias. And again, this guy, he saw his country being destroyed, and he left the country in 2017. He describes how the U.S. diplomats and the CIA officers were paid to assist Chavez and Maduro to remain in power. He also describes how the election software Smartmatic, developed in Venezuela, is used to alter elections. This technology was later exported abroad, including the United States. This letter is strategic warning from a man who spent decades inside the command structure of a hostile power. Carvajal confirms that many of us have stated repeatedly the Maduro regime functions as a fully integrated narco-terrorist apparatus conducting an unconventional campaign inside and against the United States of America. He details how the Venezuela weaponized cocaine and coordinated operated with these other agencies. And so I've read all that to you, so I don't need to say this, but Andy says, we as Americans must demand more transparency about the role of the rogue deep state elements inside our own national security system who have been or are currently protecting the Venezuelan regime and have been for decades. I've been talking about this for like 4 or 5 days, guys, where they're telling Trump, oh, just do some mineral things with him, wash your hands, it's okay, Maduro's okay, don't do anything. And because why? They're trying to stall Trump from doing what he needs to do. And General Flynn saying, enough is enough. This is a guy, Carvajal, who actually is reporting on all this. And that's Maduro there. And there's a whole article here in the Dallas Express where they put that 4 pages in that I just read to you, right? So you have all that in the show notes, right? And so this is Admiral Robertson talking about that. Here's Patrick Byrne giving some color to this. Because of our institutions are corrupt, those lies have been repeated over and over. But 60 judges looked at this and found nothing. Remember that, Matt? So 60 judges said lack of standing, all the fraud from Carrie Lake in 2022 and 2020, and all the fraud we found in 2022. We had plenty of evidence, but the judges won't look at it. And so that is going to be used against them, is what he's talking about. And so it's interesting. He says 2025 will show China, Cuba, Venezuela rigged 2008 Idaho primary, all Obama versus Hillary. So they rigged Obama to beat Hillary, to make him this hero. 2020 President Biden versus Trump. And countless congressional, state, and local races since 2006. 71 other nations. The greatest victory is winning without fighting. That's what Lindsay was doing against them. So Patrick Byrne has a lot of fun color on this. So he's a good Emerald and Patrick chart. Actually, following them on X has been really interesting now. So here's some of stuff that SGAnon was talking about, and I was hoping that SG would be here, but he was not able to make it today. But we had plenty to cover anyway. Here he is talking about who is responsible for the multinational state biological active war called C-19 plus vaccination weapons. Same people who used the CIA and the FBI as personal hit squads. Same people who used U.S. military, CIA, FBI to destabilize agents during Trump 1.0. Same people who used the CIA, FBI, FISA to wage an insurgency against the duly elected president and American people. Same people who openly plotted the execution of their coup against an incoming president. Justice is coming for a host of crimes against humanity and crimes against human rights. And then he plays this video. It's a 2 minutes and 26 video of word salad of Chelsea Clinton, I think that is, just talking about how we have to get people to have more confidence in our medical cartel, basically. It's like, oh my goodness. The same people and their siblings, right? You'll find SGAnon, by the way, at Q News Patriot. Most people search SGAnon and never can find him. On Rumble, you have to search Q News Patriot. I don't know why he doesn't change his name with dash SGAnon, right? Because people put up fake, so it's 158,000 followers. Q News Patriot is where you're going to find SGAnon. He's going to have a plethora of information. And he does great. I think I've been talking to him about getting him on Faith and Freedom TV as well. We got all Juan Savin's videos there. His talking points are really good as well. But I have some other, just a little bit of other news I'll go over here before we go into Praise and Prayer on the other channel. That's going to be on Word and Worship channel. Again, and Faith and Freedom TV, as well as you'll be able to see it at the, besides the Faith and Freedom TV, as on Rumble, as well as Faith and Freedom TV. Again, Word and Worship channel is where we're going to be going next. All right, let me, I got to place my lower third that gets stuck. But why were two brothers previously convicted of hacking in the United States government working as federal contractors for the government again in the first place? Twin brothers Munib and Shohar Akhtar served in prison and have foreign connections. So basically, this is this article that came out today. FBA stops Saudi Arabia and Pakistan affiliated twin brothers from hacking 96 U.S. government databases. So these guys get fired. Why they got hired in the first place? This shows you the corruption that we had within the Biden administration, bringing in Muslim extremists and enemies of our camp in key positions. And so anyway, pretty crazy when you look at some of the stuff that's going on. And this is that cyber revenge plot against the U.S. that these federal IT contractors, twin brothers, and this guy was both are 34 years old, were arrested today on federal charges alleging attempting to destroy and steal data from 96 separate U.S. government databases after being fired in February 2025. So it gives a lot more detail here. You guys will see that in the show notes. Guys, hey, last thing, silver's come down a little bit here to make it to a good buy. Make sure you get with Kirk Elliott. This is an incredible run. I think we're going to see where this went up to over 60 for a while. And so not the end of a day, so you won't see that if I go back to look at the last month here. You'll see that it went up above almost to 59 here at the end of the day, but during one of those days it went up to 61 for a short period. So it's broken the 60 barrier. A lot of people talking about that, how that they're thinking it's going to be 75, 100 here shortly. And if the Babylonian system crashes, which I think it's going to, and Trump replaces it with the dividend dollar or gold backed stuff or any type of a commodity backed dollar. And he, now that he knows the CIA is completely compromised, even worse than he thought with all this new information, I can't imagine that he doesn't want to get rid of their Federal Reserve and tear up the CIA and blow it into 1 million pieces, just like or 1,000 pieces, I think it was what JFK was talking about, right? So, hey, to get a free consultation about what to do with silver and how you can do it in a cost-effective way. There's so many silver dealers out there that are corrupt, guys. There's many of them. They sell you what they call rare coins, and they're making 50, 60%. You're never going to get that back. That 50, 60% margin they're making on this stuff. This is 8% on the front end and nothing on the back end. So it's yours. You can sell it at the end, and so you don't have to recover these huge 50% profit that people are making. He only uses bullion. You can store it in Texas. It's a great deal. Just get some advice about how to work with precious metals correctly for your wealth. And this has been a big blessing for me and my family, and it will be for you too. So make sure you give Kirk a call. Let him know that Rick B2T sent you. And with that, guys, we're going to move on to the praise and prayer. Again, if you want to find it on Rumble, you would just type. I'm going to show you both on Faith and Freedom TV if you want to join us. But if you on Rumble, you would just type in word with the letter N, worship, and it comes right up. Right, word with the letter N, and that's where we're going to be live here in about 15 minutes, maybe 10 minutes. And then also we're going to be live also on this channel here on the Praise and Prayer and Word and Worship live channel is the top row of the live stuff on faithandfreedom.tv. Faithandfreedom.tv, or the app that you downloaded on your TV or your phone, will be live right there in about 10 minutes. God bless y'all, and we'll see you soon. Keep on fighting. Make sure you're thumbsing up, sharing, subscribing, donating if you can, guys, to the ministry. We're in a fight, and we're going to win this. It's going to be a beautiful time. God bless.
Elitist media deceives, but Faith and Freedom TV amplifies truth. Our world-leading platform delivers news, teachings, worship, movies, and music rooted in biblical values and constitutional patriotism, inspiring faith and liberty. We inspire, equip, and amplify Christian patriots to share powerful stories of faith, family, and freedom. With live events, thousands of on-demand videos, and access on Roku, Fire TV, Apple TV, Android, and iOS, we're transforming culture globally for God and country. New content is coming to ignite faith. Join our mission to counter deception. Visit faithandfreedom.tv and download the Faith and Freedom TV app today.